Are you tired of boring watches? Because there's only so many Submariner wannabes and vintage inspired pieces I can see before I just want to fall asleep. Today's watch is the complete opposite. It's a watch that's bursting with that much character, you'll need a double espresso just to get on its level. Hello there, my name's Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker, I hope you're having a good day. Today we'll be taking a look at one of the craziest watches I've ever seen. A watch that is absolutely bursting with details and colour. And even though I've reviewed what seems like hundreds of watches on this channel now, this is actually my first time reviewing a full bronze watch. So stick around to see what I think of this exceptionally weird case material. As I'm becoming a more experienced collector, I often find myself looking for the more weird and wacky watches. A simple black dial diver really doesn't do much for me anymore. I need something with a bit of personality and originality, and that's where Signum always delivers. And Signum is the sister brand to Stratton, who you guys might know for their incredible racing inspired watches. So what the hell is going on here then? Well, I think that Signum has set out to make the ultimate autumn and winter watch, because these watches feel like they belong amongst the fallen leaves with their warm and colourful designs. So have they achieved that, or are these just an over the top mess? Let's find out. So this is the Signum Cuda Bronze, and it is launching in two different variants. Both of them are quite similar in terms of what's going on, but they do have slightly different dial designs, and a couple of details amongst the watch are different too. But one thing that is consistent across both models is that these feature a 200-meter water resistance rating, so these are genuine dive watches. A traditional screw-down caseback and a screw-down crown gives confidence in that rating. Signum have used a stainless steel caseback here because bronze can often react with the skin. However, if you want to go diving with this watch, you will need to change the strap, because although this strap is absolutely beautiful and definitely fits the vibe of the watch very well, it isn't waterproof whatsoever, so it will get damaged if you take this in the pool or the ocean. This is a genuine Italian leather strap, and you can definitely feel the quality here. This strap is a little bit thicker than usual, but it's still soft and supple, which means that it's going to conform to the wrist nicely, and it should offer some decent longevity too because of its thickness. It also has that slightly oiled finish to it, so it is going to get a little bit of patina over time, which I like. Quick release spring bars here too, so nice easy strap changes. And of course they have provided a matching bronze buckle and tang, which is signed with the Signum logo. And they've also done a good job at matching the colours of the straps with each watch too. And this strap does wrap around the wrist nicely, again it conforms to the wrist straight out of the box. And it makes this watch feel great on my 6.5-inch wrist, even though it is quite a larger watch than I'd usually wear. This watch comes in with a 42mm case diameter. However, they have managed to squeeze that lug to lug to be just under 50mm here. So even though we do have a larger case diameter, this watch is going to work for a lot of wrist sizes. Case thickness here is super average, 13.2, which is sort of what you'd expect for a dive watch. I think this watch hugs the wrist well. It doesn't blow me away in terms of comfort, but again, that is because I've got a smaller wrist. There is no gaps beneath those lugs, which sometimes can happen with bigger watches. And I am a little bit shocked with the case thickness on this watch, because usually watches powered by this movement are a little bit thinner. This watch uses the Miyota 9015, which features a high beat rate at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a 40-hour power reserve. Typical accuracy is -10 to +30 seconds a day. Both models that I have here are running within 10 seconds a day, but it is just a lucky dip when it comes to accuracy. You might get one that's running to chronometer standards, it's just the look of the draw. And if you guys have never had a bronze watch before, then this is something completely different than stainless steel. And this is CUSN 8 bronze too. I describe the silhouette of this watch as like a skin diver. There are no crown guards and the crown is quite large. We also have those flat lug integrations, which does help with how the straps integrate with the case. But again, it definitely gives the watch a vintage aesthetic for sure. Just a little bit of curvature to this side profile, again helping the fit. Oh, and the crown is also made from bronze too. Now in terms of the finish here, Signum have gone for a completely brushed finish on this watch. To be honest with you, the finish of bronze doesn't really matter that much, because bronze does patina, which means that over time this watch is going to change colour. It starts off as quite a warm, shiny, coppery, goldy colour, and then the colour is going to transition, become much darker, it's going to become cloudy. Each area is going to look slightly different from one another. Depending on how much you wear this watch and what environments you use this watch in will depend on how much patina the watch gets. So we have that bronze case and crown, and we also have the bronze bezel. This is a 120 click unidirectional dive time bezel. I describe the action here as quite snappy, but I think what's more interesting here is this bezel material. This isn't your standard aluminium or ceramic bezel. Signum are using pearl for the material here, which gives this bezel a deep and rich hue that you'll struggle to find with any other material. Now, to protect that pearl, because they can be quite fragile, Signum have used a layer of acrylic over the top, which still allows all of the pearl glow to come through, but adds a layer of protection to the pearl. Now, as you can see, we do have markings on this bezel, and those are loomed too, which we will cover very shortly. In terms of dial protection, we are using a sapphire glass here. This is a domed crystal with some anti-reflective treatment on the underside. Clarity here is exceptional, and it does allow for a little bit of distortion on the extreme side angles. I'm just glad that they didn't try anything too fancy with these crystals and allowed these dials to really punch through. So this is what's known as a cathedral dial. Basically, this imitates the look of a stained glass window. These are absolutely beautiful to look at. They are incredibly vivid, and it's definitely a great way to add some personality into the watch collection if most of your watches are boring. And even though the dials here are super vivid, legibility is fantastic. Those applied polished indexes and hands really do pop against that cathedral dial. Now the handset here is like a little bit of a hybrid. Now they're sword in construction, but they have like a cathedral finish inside them. I think this handset is bespoke to Signum. I could be wrong about that, but I will give props here to Signum for using color match date wheels on both models. And it's also framed, which always makes the watch look that little bit more premium. Now, although these are both definitely giving off the same vibe, they both feature different cathedral patterns amongst the dial. I'd say the brownie one is more of a flower, where the blue one reminds me more of a butterfly. That might just be my crazy interpretation, but that's how I see them. It's almost like these models feature a reverse color scheme. So with the blue, we get the brown on the center and then the blue around the perimeter, and then the brown features blue in the middle and then brown on the outer. I honestly don't know which one I prefer. Let me know which one you do down in the comments. But one thing you don't have to choose between is great lume, because, well, both watches feature it. If Signum are known for one thing, it's delivering fantastic lume with every model. BGW9 Super Luminova, so you get that blue glow. No complaints here. This is some of the best lume that you'll get around this price point. So what are the negatives about this watch then? Because it can't be perfect, surely. 42mm is on the upper side of what I can wear. I always prefer a 40. And then I'd also drop the lug width down to a 20. Although I do have to give credit here because the proportions do look great on the watch. One thing that might annoy people is that the hands and the indexes feature a different finish here. The indexes are polished where the hands are brushed. This isn't something that annoys me. I actually quite like this feature. But for those of you who need everything to be perfect and matching, that is an area that doesn't. But probably the biggest negative for me is this bezel material. Not the pearl, because the pearl looks absolutely beautiful, but the acrylic over the top. Acrylic is something that scratches very easily. But either way, I think we can all agree that a piece of sapphire would have been better here. So as this is my first ever bronze watch review, what do I think of the case material? I like to see this as a little bit of a science experiment. Each watch is going to develop its own character, which I think is super cool. You know this watch is going to age, you know it's going to patina, so how can you control that, and how will it eventually look? Now in terms of price, these are launching at $449. This isn't a pre-order. These watches will begin shipping just 2 weeks after the launch, and unfortunately there's only 50 pieces of each of these being made for now, and I'm told by Signum that these watches will sell out quickly. And if I had to pick my favorite, that's a tough call. I think I'd go for the brown. Yes, I think the blue contrasts better with the bronze, but this feels like a more complete design because all of the elements work better together.